This is an island surrounded by water, big water, ocean water. Trust me, I'm like a smart person. I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius. I had the best words. Tolerated. I know words. Mike Pounds. I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation. But there's no better word than stupid. Anonymous, really anonymous. I'm very highly educated. One of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water. Had the best words. God bless the United States.
Around the nation, DYT Nation, Jeff Waldorf here with you. Welcome to the show. It's Friday. And I am wearing my very stable genius shirt because we got a lot of stories about our very stable genius. Awesome. We'll start out, of course, with Donald Trump asking a few medical questions. Turns out very, very well. We also, in addition to that, have Breitbart leaping to their defense. Fun times. Then we have, of course, a response from the makers of certain disinfectants. So you can imagine what message that is. All right. So we've got that. We have a report, an interesting study, actually, an analysis of how COVID-19 coronavirus will impact Trump's base in the election. We still have an election going on. And how is this going to affect this entire pandemic going to affect the election? It actually really is pretty interesting, if not a little morbid. So we'll talk about that, what that says. We've got Rudy Giuliani saying ridiculous things. We'll talk about that. And then we've got a new HHS spokesman in the Trump administration already getting in trouble for some tweets. That's always fun. And these are not old tweets, by the way. These are fairly recent, going back to March. So in case you're wondering about that. Wow. All right. So we got quite a show for you guys today. Please like and share the stream. Very important that you do so. We are, of course, doing a patron drive. And I am proud to announce that we have 383 patrons. Now, we're trying to get 400 by the end of the month. And hopefully, starting fresh, the new month, we can get up to 450. So we're going to try. We're going to get up there, and we're going to make this show sustainable and not reliant on ads anymore. We need your help more than ever to be sustainable and to continue to grow. Fun thing that we're doing tomorrow, actually, and it will not be on YouTube. It'll actually be for patrons first, is we're going to do a podcast. So I'm going to go and I'm going to talk to Farron Cousins of Ring of Fire Radio, and we're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to do a podcast tomorrow, and we will post it up for patrons first, and then we'll post it up for everyone else later on. So if you want to sign up for access to that, because I think we're going to have a really, really fun time doing that podcast and talking to each other. I can't wait to talk to Farron. He's really, really fun guy and an excellent host. And so we're going to do that. Sign up to be a patron for access to that early. And take a listen. It's going to be a great, great podcast. All right. So That said, let's oh, by the way, other ways to support the show, of course, you can be a channel member as well. Channel members, of course, help the show. You can sign up for that by hitting the join button below. And there's various other ways, of course, to donate. We've got PayPal, Venmos, etc. And so there's tons of different ways that you can help us. There's merchandise in the Teespring store. I always have that pinned, of course, in our stream. So check that out. You might find something that you like. All right. That said, let's dive into the first story. Fun.
Right, and then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? Because you see it gets on the lungs and it does a tremendous number of the lungs. So it'd be interesting to check that. So that you're going to have to use medical doctors with. But it sounds interesting to me.
That was President Trump asking if we could possibly inject people with disinfectants. Hey, look, I know the defense is, and I'll get more on that later on, but that he's just asking questions. He's just asking if we can inject people with a disinfectant. I can't. I can't. We got the disinfectant. We got the Lysol, and why can't we think about disinfecting it? Because, you moron, that's deadlier than the virus. Seriously. No, who's stupid enough to think, no, well, bleach kills this thing, obviously, or isopropyl alcohol, that's rubbing alcohol. Why don't we just inject those? See what happens. Clean out the lungs. I mean, come on. All right, so now, of course, as soon as he had the chance, ABC News' Jonathan Karl was like, hey, wait a minute. You're not actually going to do this on people, right? So here's his question, and here's Trump's answer.
The president mentioned the idea of cleaners, like the bleach and isopropyl alcohol you mentioned. There's no scenario that could be injected into a person, is there? I mean,
No, I'm here to talk about the findings that we had in the study. We don't do that within that lab, our labs.
So how do you...
Are we simplifying too much?
We're talking about almost a cleaning, sterilization of an area.
Right.
Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work, but it certainly has a big effect if it's on a stationary object.
All right, so then you see, once he was asked, he's like, well, I didn't mean injection. I mean this sterilization of the area. Then why did you say we're looking at, or we want, to look at maybe you could inject disinfectants? Why would you say that he has no idea what he's talking about? And look, hey, you want to talk about sterilizing surfaces? Okay, well, yeah, we're already doing that. But again, he's saying, is there a way to do something like that by injecting inside or almost a cleaning? Doesn't make sense. Inside what? The body? I mean, again, I'm being very clear about this because you've got Trump people out there saying, well, he didn't say anything about injections. What are you talking about? Fake news. In fact, here you have Breitbart doing a quote-unquote fact check. You'll love this, right? Here's what they said. Trump used the word inject, but what he meant was using a process, which he left medical doctors to define, in which patients' lungs might be cleared of the virus, given new knowledge about its response to light and other factors. So, look, yes, there is evidence that light, strong UV light has an effect on coronavirus, sunlight as well, right? But he also said in that very same press conference, oh, by the way, we're going to find a way to, is there a way to put the light in the body through the skin? What, you're going to shove a light bulb in somebody's mouth? Is that what we're doing? Come on, it's ridiculous. He's a lunatic. And you saw what he said in front of your eyes. What are you going to do? We do not believe your lying eyes. Literally said that. Literally said that. And then, of course, said the complete opposite. But let me just be clear. For the love of God, don't start injecting bleach or any disinfectant because you will die. And not only will you die, but it will be painful. It's going to hurt. Now, again, the other idea about sunlight is, something else. But his question was, is there a way we can put it inside the body? And no, I don't think we can actually freaking do that. So this is nonsense. And yet, here's the New York Times earlier, right? The New York Times frustrates me in a lot of different ways, especially when, the biggest way is when they do stuff like this. Earlier, they had this tweet. It's deleted now, right? And they came up and said, well, we deleted that tweet, right? But this was the original. At a White House briefing, President Trump theorized dangerously, in the view of some experts, about the powers of sunlight, ultraviolet light, and household disinfectants to kill the coronavirus. Notice in there, well, some experts say it's dangerous. No. All the experts say it's dangerous. Don't inject household cleaners. Don't start shooting up Lysol. Bad idea. Terrible idea. Because it will kill you. And yet, here was the New York Times, left that tweet up for 12 hours, saying, both sides. Here's what Democrats say this. Insane people say that. Who knows? Experts. Some experts. No, pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. Now, one more thing, because there's always got to be one more thing, right? Now, apparently the White House transcript had shown that Dr. Birx had agreed with Donald Trump about ultraviolet light. The thing is that in reality, she actually didn't agree with that. Now, NBC News reporter Shannon Pettypiece, which, by the way, I love the name, especially being a reporter. Did Pettypiece put out another petty piece? I kid. I'm sure she does a great job. In fact, she did so right here in finding that the White House transcript had officially been changed. And most of us wouldn't have noticed had she not looked into it. So what did it say? Well, she flagged the change in the official transcript that corrected an earlier, and she calls it an error. I don't think it's an error. But it regards Birx's reaction to Trump's suggestion. So here's the quote that was quoted in the transcript. Deborah, have you heard of that? That the heat and the light, relative to certain viruses, yes, but relative to this virus. She said, according to the transcript, that is a treatment. In reality, Birx said, quote, not a treatment. Not as a treatment. Okay, so that's fairly clear. It's not a treatment for coronavirus. So it's a little bit of a strange error because it's completely the opposite of what she actually said. And so if you're reading that official transcript before it was changed, you think, well, obviously heat and light, ultraviolet ray, that's a treatment for coronavirus, according to Dr. Birx. When in reality, not a treatment at all. So I just thought I'd point that out because, I don't know if that's actually an error or something that maybe would help right-wing conservatives defend Donald Trump. I mean, this shouldn't be out of the question anymore, right? I know, it's conspiratorial, right? No, it's not out of the question. I mean, Donald Trump has, basically told people to change transcripts. The Trump, people that work in the White House have changed transcripts. They lie on behalf of the president all the time. And so they put out the original false version and then issue a correction later. They'll come out and say, oh, we didn't actually say that. That's not what it means. But message received. It's already out there in a MAGA crowd. And so they'll first believe what came out first and they'll defend it. And then later on they say, well, we knew that was the case in the first part. So, we didn't change our position. No, we didn't do any of that. That's fake news. But again, they're already saying that, oh, you took Trump out of context. He didn't actually say inject. As I told you with that Breitbart article, but you all saw the video. You know what he said. First, he said, can we inject disinfectants? And then later on says, I didn't actually say that. Well, he did. He said both things. And he does that because that's what he always does. He says one thing and then the opposite thing a little bit later on. And he does that so he can deny saying the one thing that he literally just said. It is somehow both stupid and effective at the same time. But that's what Trump does. And I guess that's how he is so effective at being able to lie to his base and say the most insane things and yet keep the loyalty of that base. All right. We're going to move on. We'll get the second story here. The maker of household cleaner Lysol has a message for you. Please ignore the President of the United States and do not, under any circumstance, ingest or inject our product. Now, the warning, of course, comes after this insane press conference. Take a look.
Right, and then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? Because you see it gets on the lungs and it does a tremendous number in the lungs. So it'd be interesting to check that. So that you're going to have to use medical doctors with. But it sounds interesting to me.
What are you doing? What are you doing? You can't inject disinfectants, dummy. I mean, again, moron of morons, right? What is wrong with these people? That's not a treatment. It's not a treatment. It's literally going to kill people. Yes, it will kill the virus. I guess if you want to kill the virus and the host along with it, I mean, it's effective, right? But no, you cannot, should not inject disinfectants or ingest them in any way, shape, or form. You know what? They're also talking about isopropyl alcohol, right? Or rubbing alcohol. Also, don't inject or ingest that at all. I mean, because again, you're going to have terrible consequences for this, right? Including hypothermia and cardiac arrest. So that's just with isopropyl alcohol. Bleach is also incredibly terrible. So no, don't do it. Don't do it. So now, instead of listening to the idiot baby in charge, you should probably listen to the warning from the maker of Lysol and other cleaning products. In fact, here's a statement. As a global leader in health and hygiene products, we must be clear that under no circumstance should our disinfectant products be administered into the human body through injection, ingestion, or any other route. So, sorry, no bleach suppositories. Not going to work. Terrible idea. All right. Now, they also added, as with all products, our disinfectant and hygiene products should only be used as intended and in line with usage guidelines. Please read the label and safety information. Well, you know what? Some people, they're not going to read the label because they can't read. Okay, maybe I'm a little bit kidding on that one, but all right. So that's not the only place that puts out a warning, of course. You also had the EPA, who cautioned against using the or following the president's suggestion, saying this: never apply the product to yourself or others. Do not ingest disinfectant products. I cannot believe they have to literally send out this message. This is where we're at. You have to tell adults to not ingest bleach. But look, we've talked about this before, right? We've talked about how the medical or miracle medical serum or whatever, right? That some churches are selling that's basically involves bleach, their own creation of bleach. And then there was Jim Baker being told not to sell his colloidal silver because that's also not effective. I mean, it's less harmful than bleach, obviously, but still doesn't actually do anything about coronavirus. But look, I get that you have to keep children from accidentally ingesting these products, but we are literally having to tell adults to not put this stuff in your body. I mean, it's ridiculous. I never thought that we would have to do this. I mean, we are learning so much in this crisis right now. And unfortunately, most of what I've seen only reinforces the fact that I had a little too much faith in humanity and that I kind of need to bring down my expectation. To go back to Trump for a minute here, again, this is somebody who claims that he is a medical genius and that he's like really, really smart. And so that's why people should pay attention to him when he goes and talks about medical stuff. In fact, here's a video of him early on in this crisis saying he's so smart that the doctors keep coming to him for advice.
And I like this stuff. You know, my uncle is a great person. He was at MIT. He taught at MIT for, I think, like a record number of years. He was a great super genius, Dr. John Trump. I like this stuff. I really get it. People are surprised that I understand it. Every one of these doctors said, how do you know so much about this? Maybe I have a natural ability. Maybe I should have done that instead of running for president.
Their faces, man, it's really say it all. I mean, other doctors, they're asking me, how do you know so much about this? And they're all like trying to keep a straight face. And then it goes back and reminds me of Dr. Fauci when he's like face palming in the middle of Trump saying something just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, that's the situation that we're in. And there are people that listen to him. People are listening to him. Now, thankfully, it's not a lot of people. I mean, the vast majority of the American people actually support the stay-at-home orders. They do. And according to a new poll, they plan on staying home even if the economy starts to open up. So most people are trusting of, right now, doctors and medical professionals and officials that are saying, hey, maybe we should not put bleach in our wherever you want to put it, right? Maybe where we shouldn't do that because that's kind of a bad idea. And we should socially distance and do that stuff and slowly open our economies up later on. So I guess to me, it's a bit of a nice consolation that it's really only a small group of fringe people in the country that needs to be warned not to inject bleach or not go out with masks and spread the virus and all that stuff. The problem is that small group with something that is as virulent as coronavirus, as COVID-19, that small group tends to ruin it for the rest of us. All right. Moving on here. President Trump's base might be shrinking before our very eyes. Now, despite the fact that, of course, that coronavirus has completely upended our lives, and, well, unfortunately for some time, some things are still going on as planned, which is the 2012 election between presumptive nominee Joe Biden and President Donald Trump. Now, thanks to coronavirus, I shouldn't say thanks, but coronavirus generally targets the elderly, right? And because of that, Biden might actually end up getting an advantage in this election that he had never considered. So now this comes from, of course, an analysis from a new academic journal that points out that deaths of 65 and older Republican voters in certain swing states will now far exceed that of Democrats, which could give Biden an electoral advantage. So let me just say, I've got some mixed feelings about actually even doing this story because I don't want to give anybody the wrong idea. This is not something that we should be celebrating. I really don't like the idea of reducing this pandemic to political points, right? To saying, hey, man, look, Democrats could win. I look at this point, I don't really. Okay, the only reason I would actually care about Democrats winning is because maybe we could actually get some somewhat competent leadership. And again, when you're looking at Joe Biden, yeah, he doesn't scream competent, but then you look at Donald Trump and you're like, well, okay, low bar. I think there's a lot of people that would be a lot more competent than Donald Trump. So there's that, right? So, but anyway, I still feel like it's important to look at this, the implications of this when it comes to the differences between, of course, hardcore Trump supporters. And I'm not saying the average Trump supporter. I'm saying the hardcore people, the people that are out there protesting right now because they can't get a freaking haircut. All right. Those are the people that are at risk of death from coronavirus. It's the people that are not practicing social distancing. These are the people that are not staying at home, that are defying stay-at-home orders, putting themselves and other people at risk. So now, let me get to this analysis and what Politico writes about it. They say that mass casualties from COVID-19 could upend the political landscape and shift contests away from President Trump. Quote, academic researchers conclude that when considering nothing other than the tens of thousands of deaths projected from the virus, demographic shifts alone could be enough to swing crucial states to Joe Biden in the fall. The pandemic is going to take a greater toll on the conservative electorate leading to this election, and that's simply just a calculation of age. Now, the lead author, of course, is the one that said that. That's Andrew Johnson, and he's a professor of management at Texas A&M. Now, he also says that the virus is killing more older voters, and in many states, it's a key to a GOP victory. Well, that's true. Now, they do forget that there is voter suppression and the fact that we do have a pandemic, and Republicans are resisting vote by mail efforts. They think, oh, no, we can't vote by mail because it's so unsecure. Really, the military seems to use it just fine. I'm just saying, like, hey, the military can use it and you trust them to use it. Why can't you trust regular people to use it? It's because more people that vote, the more people tend to vote Democrats instead of Republicans. Just saying. So there's that consideration. That's why Republicans are fighting it so much. And that's why, of course, they're also doing voter suppression. And the reason that vote by mail, of course, is so important right now is because you want to reduce in-person voting. Not just for Democrats, but also for Republicans. Because I actually care about their health. They may not care about their health, and they may think, oh, you're goddamn libtard telling me how to live my life. You can go get coronavirus and die. Well, you know what? I actually do care about you and your families. It sucks. Sometimes I don't want to care, but I'm a human being, and you're also human beings, and I do actually care. And so, hey, it is what it is. It's a weakness, apparently. And that's unfortunately what it seems to be in politics, is that if you have any sort of empathy for other human beings, well, that's a weakness that must be exploited. Of course. Of course. But now, we've seen evidence that doing in-person voting, like what happened in Wisconsin, where, of course, the Democratic Party said, well, go ahead, and it's safe. Go out and vote. Whereas Bernie Sanders supporters mainly stayed home because Bernie Sanders is like, it's not worth it. It's not worth going out there and voting because you could get sick and all that. So I'm not going to tell people, that you should go out and vote for me. That's your decision. Okay. So we've seen this in Wisconsin. As I said, people are now coming back and saying that voted in person, they're now coming back and getting sick. So there's that. All right. So now how many people are we talking as far as they're going to get sick? Well, Johnson and his colleagues, Wendy Pollack and Beth Rajas, projected that even with shelter-in-place orders remaining in effect, about 11,000 more Republicans and Democrats who are 65 or older could die before the election in both Michigan and North Carolina. Those are two states, 11,000 people. Now, we just passed nationally 50,000 people. So you might think, wait a minute, that's really, really high. And that's one of the faults of the study. And so they kind of overestimate, in their own opinion, overestimate the numbers. But that doesn't mean that we can't see similar higher numbers. For example, instead of 11,000, maybe 8,000 or 10,000. That's still devastating. That's still a lot of people. Now, in Pennsylvania, they also project that should the state return to only using social distancing to fight infections, over 13,000 more Republican than Democratic voters in that age category would be lost. Again, the study is based on early fatality projections from covidactionnow.org and are orders of magnitude higher than what's been borne out so far in battleground states. You've actually seen less people dying in those states. So those projections, again, are very overestimated. But still, yes, you should take the numbers with a grain of salt, but it could be higher, could be lower. There's still a high likelihood that a lot of people could needlessly die. And that's the whole point. Now, William Galston, a Brookings Institution scholar on governance, did address this and said the effects are large enough only to affect outcomes in states that are very narrowly divided. The states, for example, you've got swing states like Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. So that's important because those are important electoral college states. And those are where Trump, Biden has a lead in some of these states and is doing better. But you got to remember, at this point in the 2016 election, Hillary Clinton led in these states as well by a larger margin. So understand that, right? And so that should put up some alarm bells. It really should. So now, also, Galston said that the study, looking at the analysis, he said, look, the numbers may be off a bit, but the whole study does make sense. You are going to see more conservatives that end up dying from COVID-19 than you will see from liberals. So, all right. Now, Trump supporters, they also mentioned in the study, especially in Greater Appalachia, tend to be older and heavier, traits correlated with underlying conditions that make COVID-19 more lethal. Smoking levels, another leading indicator of vulnerability, also tend to be higher in red areas. Now, look, I don't want to say this only affects older voters. Anybody can get sick, of course, from this, and we've seen young people die as well. But the fact is that older people are more at risk of complications due to age. Now, the thing is that affects politics is that they tend to be more the reliable voters. They tend to turn out and vote more. So, obviously a way to remedy this is to make sure everybody can vote by mail. But as I mentioned before, Republicans are against this. They're against this entire idea. So if they're against voting by mail and they still want to hold elections, especially during COVID-19, and then not practice social distancing measures or to give people masks and things like that, well, then the result is you're going to have more people turn out in person and they will die. Simply put. And this doesn't even have to correlate to, when you hold actual elections. You also have protesters out there that are, funded by right-wing groups, Betsy DeVos, and they're going out there and they're protesting and they're not doing social distancing. And then they're, possibly transmitting the virus and then going home and spreading that virus to their family, friends, etc. And so, yeah, that's a real problem. That's a real issue that is affecting the people who are being the least careful, which happen to be Trump supporters. So, the logical conclusion here is you are seeing more conservatives and Trump supporters getting sick and dying. Again, you can point to some, higher profile examples of Trump supporters or pastors, Trump supporting pastors that, were highly critical of, COVID-19 or the response to COVID-19, then getting COVID-19, and then, then they die. So that's a problem. That is a problem. And so, but again, there are a lot of Trump supporters, and there's a reason that they don't believe in coronavirus. A lot of them are ignorant. They don't believe in the science. They don't believe in the facts. And even if they do, they might think, hey, look, I know coronavirus is bad, but I think the economy crashing is worse. So I guess it's worth the risk. As Dan Patrick and other conservatives have openly said, hey, man, look, we know it's bad, but we got to get back to work. We can't have something that's worse. We can't have the cure be worse than the disease. That's going to end up biting them in the ass. And another thing, of course, biting Trump in the ass is his response to this, which is turning senior citizens away from him in the polls. In fact, seniors by significant numbers nationally prioritize defeating the virus over reviving the economy, which has, of course, taken a gigantic dive. A bunch of recent polls have pointed out that these seniors are not interested in really doing anything about the economy right now, but are putting and prioritizing this virus first. And so now Trump, in response to this, is starting to acknowledge that his policies are, like the impact of his policies on older people. In fact, in a tweet on Wednesday, the president, while cheering on states moving to reopen, he does say this, quote, special care is and always will be given to our beloved seniors, except me. Trump added in this message, their lives will be better than ever. We love you all. He also used similar language last month, saying seniors will be watched over protectively and lovingly. But here's the thing. He's not actually doing that policy-wise. We still lag in overall testing. We're not doing aggressive testing. In fact, he's saying, states, that's your job to test. We're actually not going to help prioritize testing at all. We're going to let you do it, and we're going to sit back. And also, we're going to let some of the states go bankrupt. But wait, the state governments are on the front line fighting coronavirus. They're doing lockdowns, which is reducing their revenue. But those lockdowns are used to try to fight and contain coronavirus while we do aggressive testing and while we do isolation and tracing, right? Contact tracing. Once you're able to isolate all the people who are sick and put them into quarantine so that they are no longer contagious, that's when you can start to bring out the general public. Trump's not doing that. No, McConnell and the rest of the Republicans are saying, no, we're going to let the states that are on the, on the front lines, we're going to let them go bankrupt. So they have to lay off a bunch of workers. And so they can't do the things that are necessary to actually fight coronavirus. And that's going to, of course, have the result of having the states open up sooner when they're not ready and putting more people at risk. That's the problem. And so it's going to be greatly ironic if these projections, even the most dire projections, prove to be true because of the reaction of the Trump administration. I mean, yes, there are caveats to the study, as I mentioned before. The numbers could end up being way too dramatic or maybe not dramatic enough in the worst case scenario. In the way, this could also lead to the complete decimation of the Republican base or the Republican Party by killing a majority of their base. We don't know what's going to happen, but I would rather side on the air of making sure we protect people. And yes, doing a little bit of damage to the economy, I know, heads explode, but I would rather protect human life over corporate profits. All right. I'm going to take a break. We're going to come back. We got statements from Rudy Giuliani. I'm going to read some comments, thank some patrons and all that, and take some super chats. I'm definitely going to read those. And so we'll do that all when we come after the break. Please like and share the stream, and we'll see you in a minute. Round the nation.
Mike Pounds.
Why? You're getting nervous, man.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
Welcome back to the show. Around the Nation right here, TBT Nation. Jeff Waldorf here with you. All right, so got a lot of super chats. Thank you, guys. I want to read a couple of them. Bobby Clay says, help, POTUS is insane. Where's the 25th Amendment? There will be no 25th Amendment because all the adults in the room are not around Donald Trump. I mean, there are a few, Dr. Fauci being one of them, and there's a couple others, but not a lot. Not enough. Dr. Zippy McScoots says Trump is a prime example of someone with a two-dimensional intellect. But I know I'm the best at the two dimensions. Nobody knows two dimensions like me. Glass Sword says QAnon is also selling spray bleach. Yay! That's great. That's smart. Torn Tokoroa says it's still hard to feel sorry for Trump supporters. Honestly, I know it sounds cruel, but seriously, man, follow any leader so blindly it's guaranteed to end in them trying to sacrifice you. Look, man, the show's about humanity, right? And I'm about humanity. Like, I disagree vehemently with Trump supporters, obviously on a lot of like political issues, but I do not want anything to happen to them and their family. Like, I believe in progress, and I believe that, yes, even the most hardcore Trump supporter could eventually come around to believing in progress, like economic progress, social progress, racial progress, economic and environmental progress and justice. These are journeys and personal journeys that people have to take, and people can change and become better and believe in different things and better things. And so I don't know, maybe that makes me way too optimistic as well. And possibly makes me a little naive. I definitely can understand that. I believe in redemption. I'm a redemption person. And yeah, maybe it is stupid, but I mean, at least I realize it, and I go in with eyes open, hoping people will change, but understanding that it's very unlikely for them to do so. And thank you, Sarge Tech, for that. All right. And again, a lot of you will disagree with me, and that's fine. We all have, our own beliefs. I do want to give a birthday shout out, by the way, to the Jinxana. So happy birthday, Jinx. Happy plague birthday, I should say, as you mentioned on Twitter. So, all right. Anyway, let's move on.
Michael Bloomberg is going to handle the tracing army of tracers in New York. We learned today from Cuomo.
That's totally ridiculous.
Yeah, an army of tracers.
Then we should trace everybody for cancer.
Yeah, army of tracers.
We should trace everybody for cancer and heart disease and obesity, and I mean a lot of things kill you more than COVID-19. So we should be traced for all those things.
Well, there are a lot of people
possesses a certain degree of risk.
That was former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani saying something incredibly stupid and not knowing what tracing is. We should trace the cancers and the heart disease. Really? No, that'd be a great idea, actually, because, those cancer patients are so incredibly contagious. And, I had a friend who caught a heart attack from another friend. And those things. Really, really contagious, guys. Super contagious. No. The man is incredibly stupid. Like, he's painfully stupid. Like, it hurts literally my brain. Like, ow. But the worst thing here is not Rudy Giuliani. Yes, Rudy Giuliani is a moron. We know that already. But here you have pretend journalist Laura Ingraham. She's not correcting any of Rudy Giuliani's bullcrap. No, she's laughing at it. She's laughing at it. No, yeah, we should definitely trace heart attack people. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Oh, it's so funny. It's so funny. No, over 50,000 Americans have died so far of COVID-19. But it's so funny. Look at the funny man. Look at Rudy. Only 50,000 people have died. We should totally trace cancer. It's totally funny. No, these are monstrously stupid ghouls. It's not funny. They have zero empathy for their fellow human beings. None. They don't care. They don't care about you. They don't care about anybody. No, it's all about money, then. That's why they want to downplay the virus. They want to sacrifice you to their beloved markets. And understand, that's why they downplay this. That's why they say, oh, it's not really that big of a deal. I mean, more people die from the flu. More people die from swimming pools. I mean, it's not a big deal. You should go out and reopen the economy because my 401k, my stock portfolio is looking a little down. So please come back. Go back to work. Oh, also, we want to stop paying you unemployment. We want to stop paying you to sit on your butt because we don't agree with that. We hate that. We like it when you pay us to sit on our butts because we're super wealthy. But, workers, oh, no, we can't have you sitting on your butt. No, we're not going to give you any money. So we're just going to get you back to work. And if you die, you die. Who cares? Go ahead, Rudy. Yeah, and make fun of science, facts. You obviously have no idea what you're talking about. And besides, if you are not so worried about this, if you think, no, heart disease, much worse. By the way, at the end of this, only like 50,000 people have died so far. You think this is over? No, it's not over. No, it's going to continue and it's going to get worse. What are they going to still be laughing if it hits 100,000? I hope that doesn't happen. But could it? Absolutely, it could. So that's a problem, right? But no, Rudy Giuliani, not worried at all. I mean, after all, life possesses a certain degree of risk, right? Right? Well, okay, Rudy, why are you not out there risking your life? Why are you not stocking shelves? Why are you not getting out in the front lines? Why not ask the nurses about the reality of the situation? Get out there. Oh, right. Because when it comes to risk, Rudy Giuliani, he don't want to risk himself. No. It's everybody else that's not him that has to go and take the risk. No, what a monstrously useless bag of flesh you are. You are garbage, Rudy. Garbage. As are all the fox toes that are downplaying this virus for their own personal gain. You are trash. Am I clear enough? Trash. All right. Moving on. A new Trump administration appointee is under fire for making then deleting some pretty controversial tweets. Now, the new Department of Health and Human Services spokesman, Michael Caputo, so this is fun, he allegedly deleted offensive tweets about Chinese people before starting at HHS last week. Now, this is according to a Thursday report from K-File. Caputo deleted nearly his entire Twitter history before April 12th. The former Trump campaign aide started his new job on April 15th. Okay, deleted. No, we've got a word for that. He scrubbed his Twitter profile. Gee, I wonder what was so bad that it would lead to over 1,300 deleted tweets. Well, luckily we have some examples because you know what? Nothing ever disappears from the internet. So now these tweets, it's not like they went and dug up tweets from 12 years ago. These were in March. So here's one from early March. Caputo had responded to a conspiracy theory that suggested U.S. troops brought the coronavirus to China. Now, there is no evidence of that. And so, look, you got, the Chinese government saying, oh, no, you brought it to us. And then you got our government saying, oh, no, you brought it to us. Right? They've got conspiracies everywhere, and it's ridiculous, right? So now what Caputo said was insane. He said millions of Chinese suck the blood out of rabid bats as an appetizer and eat the ass out of anteaters. What? Wait, huh? Okay. He also responded to another user pushing back, saying, "Don't you have a bat to eat?" Well, that's classy. Now, for me, it's like, wait, you really want to get after people for their food choices? I mean, a lot of people around the world and around the country, they eat some pretty strange things. I mean, look, I live in the Northwest or Northeast, right? I think what people eat in the South is pretty weird. I mean, people eat squirrels. That's weird. They eat snakes, lizards, snails. People around the world eat weird things. That's just what they do. I mean, it always makes me wonder, like, how did you come up with this? What made you look at a pig's foot and think, you know what would be good if I were to stick that in pickle juice? Yummy. No, not yummy. At least according to me. No hate for you, right? I'm just saying, not really interested. But what made people look and say, you know what? I think that would taste delicious. Okay, dude, whatever. Like you do you, right? My point is it's a bit hypocritical to go after another culture's food habits when your own food habits might also be pretty strange to other people. Just saying. Now, getting back to more tweets. I know I'm like one of the most understanding lib people ever. But okay, anyway. On March 14th, Caputo tweets this. Hundreds of thousands must die and the U.S. economy must collapse for the Democrat 2020 victory strategy to succeed. They're getting so excited for the carnage. Sick people. Wow. Really? Wow. Okay, no. It's not remotely true. Again, I'm like super lib. I want to prevent those deaths. I only want is for people to go, hey, you know what? I'm using my brain here. Maybe I shouldn't go out and infect other people and get myself infected. Like that would be a stupid thing to do. Maybe I should just limit social contact, stay home, order out, do some curbside, and binge some freaking Netflix. That would be smart. That's what we're supposed to do, right? But no. He's going to go off and say that, no, it's the other side that wants to kill all of us. Really, we're not the ones that are going out and getting ourselves infected and throwing coronavirus parties. I mean, it's ridiculous. Now, on March 17th, Caputo said this, not so much said, but had tweeted Chinese virus 20 times in a row. So this is a wall of hashtag Chinese virus. Classy. Especially since, look, viruses don't really know nationality. Yes, they can originate. This one originated in China. But again, they don't know nationality. So you could have a virus here that originates in Ohio. Are we going to call it the Ohio virus? I mean, maybe. But I'm pretty sure some people in Ohio will be like, hey, wait a minute. That's not our fault. Just because it originated here. Hey, what are you doing? That's kind of mean. But okay, anyway, that's that. On March 18th, Caputo tweeted, double down on Chinese virus. Leftists lost the true meaning of racism long ago. And polls show they've beaten this dead horse so badly, the GOP, independent, and soft Dem voters ignore them. He also added, nobody should let Democrats and their conjugal media popularize Chinese Communist Party talking points. Democrats plus media equals CCP. Look, do I have issues with the media? Of course. Do I think they're a mouthpiece of the Chinese Communist Party? No, I do not. Because that's insane. Just saying. Now, do I also have an issue with identity politics? Like that there are people in the Democratic Party that use identity politics and, racism to their advantage. I think there are people that are disingenuous, right? That ignore people of color, the demands of them, but often tokenize them in order to gain a political advantage with certain ethnic groups in the Democratic Party. Yes, absolutely. I do think that there are instances of that because it turns out that people everywhere, it doesn't matter what party you're in, are gross. and do gross things for power. That said, what Caputo is, he is also a gross person that is doing a whole hell of a lot of projection. And another example of that is when on March 22nd, he says this: power is the Democrats' oxygen, and they'll destroy Americans for it. Right. Super projection. He also said, now you see, Democrats need massive deaths and economic meltdown to win in November. No, we're trying to avoid that. We're trying to avoid that. With the House action, he says they'll get closer to their goal and they think they can cover their flank with argo-bargo corporations get rich. Normal Americans see this and will punish them. Look, none of that makes any sense, guys. None. It doesn't. They're pushing to not have massive death or economic meltdown. Like, yes, right now our economy is not doing great because right now we have to lock down. And the sooner we all lock down, the sooner we can get back to business and actually, getting the economy back on track. The more people ignore this and not social distance, the longer we have to do it. I mean, how do they not see that? Well, they don't see it because they don't want to see it. And so we're just trying to be careful not, to limit coronavirus transmission and death. But you have states like Georgia and Florida and North Carolina that are already starting to open up. I mean, that's going to have effect in killing more people and having an economic meltdown. It's going to continue the problem. But finally, here's the coup de grace, right? And this is how, this is who he really is. This shows his real colors. Because, look, Chinese virus, all that stuff, right? That's like casual racism. When you really go down to some of these conservatives, to, the bottom of the barrel, at that bottom is always a little bit of anti-Semitism. And here's the example of that. On March 27th, Caputo retweeted a picture of a smiling George Soros with the caption, "The real virus behind everything." Now, look, do I have an issue with George Soros's money in politics? I absolutely do. I don't think his money should be in politics. I don't think the Koch brothers should have that much influence in politics, right? So even though I do agree with all of the causes that Soros gives to, I think that when you have so much money in politics, it's generally a bad thing for America because it crowds out regular, normal people that are not super wealthy, and it keeps them out of the political process. Their voices don't get heard. And so I'm against money in politics. I don't care who you are, right? Unions, corporations, big donors, the Charles Koch and George Soros. I don't want your money in politics. I want it out of politics. That said, these are anti-Semitic tropes. And that's what that is. George Soros, the real virus behind everything. No. You know what the real virus is? Stupid people. That's what it is. And of course, you also have coronavirus. But look, this is who this guy is, right? Is it any wonder why he scrubbed his timeline? Well, if you ask him, it's because, I delete my tweet every month. And I do it because, it drives people mad. Really? Sure, dude. Sure. One thing to remember is, I mentioned on the top of this segment, everything on the internet lasts forever. You can go to the Wayback Machine. That's how they found these, right? So if you want to go and delete your tweets, you're not really doing anything about it because they're still going to be able to find them because they're always going to be able to exist. So it kind of makes me wonder what the real reason was behind you scrubbing these. And it's probably because they might make you look like you're a monster. Okay. All right. So, all right. One more super chat here that I want to read before we wrap it up for the day. Torn Tokoro says, I'm not saying I won't help or anything. I'm hoping to help them, meaning conservatives. I'm just going to be face palming very often, fighting for what's right. It's tiring. No, I understand that. I am, believe me, I am incredibly exhausted at trying to, look, I'm just trying to give people the facts and then tell you my perspective. The show's all about perspective. And so I try to get everything right that I can and to give you my perspective on top of everything. And so, it's, some people are not going to agree with my perspective, and I understand that. And I think that you can have different beliefs as long as you don't harm anyone. What I see from, both radical centrists and conservatives is that some of their beliefs are incredibly harmful. And so that's why we're out there, we're speaking against them, because not only are they incredibly harmful, but they're also kind of stupid in ways where we can actually do something better. And there is a better way to do things, but you have entrenched business interests that will not allow you to do the better thing, because that will ultimately cost them money. And so it's more of, I think for me, it's less of a Democrat versus Republican, even though we have a lot of Republicans and conservatives that are obviously, doing terrible things. But I think it's still more of a 99% versus a 1%, everybody else versus the ruling donor class. And that's what I tend to talk about most here on the show. And a lot of you who watch the show, you know this. All right. So that's it, guys. Thank you for going around the nation to me today. Thank you for the super chats. Please subscribe to the channel, like and share the stream. Go and like the clips and share those around if you can. I appreciate it. It massively helps the show. Let's see how many patrons that we have. We have 383. Help us get to 400 by the end of the month. You can sign up by going to patreon.com/TYTNation. That's one major way that you can help the show. All right, guys. Thank you. Love you guys. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation. See you on Monday. You have an awesome weekend. Stay safe.
Mike Pounds.
Please clap.
Why? You're getting nervous, man.
Oh, wow, I'm sorry. You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.